Let me start by saying something important. If you are a green card holder in the United States, if you are a lawful permanent resident who has built a business or who dreams of starting one, I want you to take a deep breath before we go any further. I know that over the past few weeks, you may have seen alarming headlines. You may have read posts on social media suggesting that your access to small business funding is disappearing overnight. You may have felt a wave of panic, wondering if everything you have worked for is suddenly at risk. My goal today is not to scare you. My goal is to explain this calmly, truthfully, and with the legal clarity that you deserve. Because when we cut through the noise, when we look at what is actually happening versus what is being claimed, the picture becomes clearer. And for the majority of you watching this video, the reality is far less dramatic than the headlines suggest. Before we go further, let me say this in a very human way. I am not your attorney. This video is for informational and educational purposes only. Nothing I say here creates an attorney-client relationship, and nothing here replaces the advice of a qualified immigration or business attorney who knows the details of your specific situation. But I have spent years helping people navigate the United States immigration system, and I have seen how confusion and fear can spread when policy changes are announced without context. So today, I want to give you that context. I want to walk you through what is actually happening with SBA loans and green card holders, why this change is being made, and most importantly, what it means for you in practical terms. So let us begin with the facts. The Small Business Administration, commonly known as the SBA, is a federal agency that provides funding, resources, and support to small businesses across the United States. For decades, the SBA has offered various loan programs to help entrepreneurs start, grow, and sustain their businesses. These programs include the well-known 7A loan program, the 504 loan program for real estate and equipment, microloans, and disaster relief loans. Historically, lawful permanent residents, meaning green card holders, have been eligible to apply for most of these programs. In fact, the SBA has long recognized that immigrants, including green card holders, play a vital role in the American economy. They create jobs, they contribute to innovation, they pay taxes, and they build businesses that serve their communities. But here is what has changed. On March 1st, a new policy is set to take effect that will alter the eligibility requirements for certain SBA loan programs. Specifically, some programs will now require applicants to be United States citizens rather than simply lawful permanent residents. This means that if you are a green card holder, you may no longer be eligible to apply for certain types of SBA-backed loans starting on that date. Now, I want to pause here because this is where the confusion begins. Some sources are saying that all SBA funding is being cut off for green card holders. Others are claiming that existing loans will be revoked or that businesses will be forced to shut down. Let me be very clear about this. In most cases, those claims are exaggerations. Let us walk through what is true and what is not. First, this change applies to new loan applications going forward. If you are a green card holder who already has an SBA loan, your loan is not going to be taken away. Your existing agreement remains in place. The government is not going to knock on your door and demand that you pay back your loan immediately or close your business. That is not how this works. Existing loans are contracts, and they are protected under the law. What we are talking about here is future eligibility. Starting March 1st, if you are a green card holder and you apply for a new SBA loan under certain programs, you may be told that you do not meet the citizenship requirement. That is the change. Second, not all SBA programs are necessarily affected in the same way. The details of the policy change are still being clarified, and there may be variations depending on the specific loan program, the size of the loan, and other factors. This is why it is so important not to jump to conclusions based on a headline. The SBA is a large agency with many programs, and changes like this are often implemented with nuance. Some programs may continue to allow green card holders to apply. Others may introduce additional documentation requirements, and still others may shift entirely to a citizenship-based eligibility standard. The point is, we do not yet have a complete picture of every single detail, and that uncertainty is part of what is fueling the anxiety. Now, let us talk about why this change is happening. Policy shifts like this do not occur in a vacuum. They are usually the result of broader political discussions, budgetary considerations, or changes in how the government interprets existing laws. In this case, the rationale being offered is that SBA loan programs are federally funded, and there is a belief among some policymakers that these funds should be reserved for United States citizens. The argument goes something like this. Taxpayer dollars should prioritize citizens first, and while green card holders are legally present and contribute to the economy, citizenship represents a deeper level of commitment to the country. Now, whether you agree with that reasoning or not is a separate conversation, but that is the logic being used to justify the change. What I want you to understand is this. Immigration policy and business policy are complex. They are shaped by many factors, including economic conditions, political climates, and legal interpretations, and they change over time. Sometimes those changes feel unfair. Sometimes they feel sudden, but they are not random. They are deliberate decisions made by government agencies and lawmakers. And because they are deliberate, they can also be challenged, debated, and potentially revised. So while this change is real, and it will have an impact on some green card holders, it is not the end of the road for immigrant entrepreneurs. Let me explain why. For one thing, the SBA is not the only source of funding for small businesses. Yes, SBA loans are popular because they often come with favorable terms, lower interest rates, and longer repayment periods. But they are not the only option. Green card holders can still seek funding from private lenders, community banks, credit unions, and alternative financing sources. They can pursue venture capital, angel investors, or crowdfunding if their business model supports it. They can apply for grants from nonprofit organizations that support immigrant entrepreneurs. And they can continue to build their businesses using personal savings, partnerships, and reinvested profits. The SBA is an important resource, but it is one resource among many. Losing access to it is a setback, but it is not a shutdown. Second, green card holders are still lawful permanent residents of the United States. They still have the right to work, to own property, to start businesses, and to operate those businesses legally. This policy change does not take away those rights. It does not revoke your green card. It does not place you in removal proceedings. It does not make you suddenly unlawful. What it does is narrow your access to a specific type of federally backed loan. That is a meaningful limitation. Yes, but it is not a deportation order. It is not a ban on entrepreneurship, and it is not a signal that the government is coming after green card holders. It is a funding policy change, and we need to keep it in that context. Third, and this is important, policies like this can and do get challenged. Advocacy groups, business associations, and immigrant rights organizations are already raising concerns about this change. They are arguing that it is counterproductive, that it harms the economy, and that it unfairly targets a group of people who are legally authorized to live and work in the United States. These arguments may lead to lawsuits, regulatory adjustments, or even congressional action. I am not saying that the policy will definitely be reversed. I do not have a crystal ball, but I am saying that this is not necessarily permanent. The immigration and business landscapes are constantly evolving, and what is true today may not be true 6 months or a year from now. So what should you do if you are a green card holder who is planning to apply for an SBA loan? First, do not panic. Take a breath. Sit down with a qualified business advisor or attorney and look at your options. If your application is already in process, find out whether it will be grandfathered in or whether you need to submit additional documentation. If you have not yet applied, explore alternative financing options. Talk to your bank. Talk to a community lender. Research programs specifically designed for immigrant entrepreneurs. There are resources out there, and while they may require more effort to access, they do exist. Second, stay organized. Keep copies of all your immigration documents, your business records, your financial statements, and any correspondence you have had with lenders or the SBA. If you do decide to challenge a denial or seek a waiver, having your paperwork in order will make that process much smoother. In the immigration world, documentation is everything. The same is true in the business world. So protect yourself by being thorough. Third, stay informed, but stay calm. Yes, follow the news. Yes, pay attention to updates from the SBA and from advocacy groups. But do not let every headline send you into a spiral. Remember that the immigration system is slow, it is bureaucratic, and it is full of procedures and safeguards. Changes like this do not happen overnight, and they do not happen without notice. If something affects you directly, you will have time to respond, you will have options, and you will not be alone. Let me also say this. I know how hard the immigration journey is. I know that for many of you, building a business in the United States is not just about making money. It is about building a life. It is about providing for your family. It is about proving that you belong here, that you contribute here, that you matter here. And when you see a policy change like this, it can feel like a rejection. It can feel like the country is telling you that you are not good enough, not worthy enough, not American enough. I want you to know that those feelings are valid, but I also want you to know that they are not the whole truth. You are here legally. You have rights. You have value. And one policy change does not erase that. To wrap this up, let me summarize what we know. Starting March 1st, certain SBA loan programs will require applicants to be United States citizens rather than green card holders. This change applies to new applications, not existing loans. It is driven by policy decisions at the federal level, and it reflects ongoing debates about how government resources should be allocated. For most green card holders, this change will not affect their current businesses or their legal status. What it will do is limit access to a specific type of funding going forward. That limitation is real, and it is frustrating, but it is not the end of your entrepreneurial journey. There are other sources of funding. There are other pathways to success. And there are advocates working to challenge or refine this policy. So my advice to you is simple. Stay calm, stay informed, stay organized, and remember that you are not alone. Thousands of green card holders are navigating this same uncertainty, and many of them will find ways to adapt and continue building their businesses. If you have questions, seek professional guidance. If you have a story to share, leave a comment below. Let us support each other through this, and let us keep moving forward with the dignity and determination that brought us here in the first place. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.